Indiana Jones is a man of action, intelligence, and adventure. Making his way into multiple greatest film character of all time lists, his unwavering charm and distinctive silhouette is enough to elicit a sense of pure joy and wonder for fans. With a character so iconic across film and television, it would only make sense Indiana would follow his fortune into the world of gaming next. Early days would bring more abstract attempts, but in the case of Indy, some really phenomenal world-expanding entries would emerge as well. Releasing in 1992, LucasArts' Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis would bring an all-new point-and-click adventure to home computers of the time. Met with great critical acclaim and commercial success alike, Fate of Atlantis feels like a true expansion of the Indiana Jones universe. While not the first game to take Indy on a brand new adventure, it was most certainly the most successful in 1992. Capturing the essence of the Indiana Jones experience with its perfect marriage of point-and-click puzzle solving and classic Lucas PC pixel art. Still topping best of lists today, this title remains a must-play for just how much designers Hal Barwood and Noah Falstein get right. Originally conceived as a sequel story to Last Crusade, unhappy with what they had to work with, Lucas and Spielberg collaborator Barwood sought to develop a brand new story, which was ultimately the right call, landing Fate of Atlantis plenty of accolades. Packed full of charm and a clear love for the source material, Fate of Atlantis embraces everything you'd want from an indie game. Early on, you're interacting with familiar faces, but soon meet new characters such as archaeologist-turned-psychic Sophia Hapgood, who joins Jones on the journey to unravel the secrets of Atlantis before those no-good Nazis get there first. Classic Indiana stuff. This interactive style of storytelling suits the character incredibly well, with all of your commands being refined to a single mouse click. Music and sound are also exceptional, with original compositions painting a beautiful soundscape of whimsy and playful adventure. Fate of Atlantis really is a delight to the senses, offering different paths of play and some incredible voice talent with Doug Lee as the voice of Indy. You'd be hard-pressed not to have a smile on your face 5 minutes into this game.
Is your electric bill paid up?
That was Nurab Sal. His spirit is close.
Don't try your psychic act on me. Suppose I gave this orichalcum business any credence, which I don't. Who knows where these feet really came from?
Shh! I'm getting something. Nurab Sal speaks.
In 1994, having developed a pedigree for adapting Lucasfilm works for the home console, LucasArts and Factor 5, following the success of their Super Star Wars line of games, released Indiana Jones' Greatest Adventures. Impressive in its scope alone, unlike the Super Star Wars trilogy, Greatest Adventures delivers all 3 movies on one cart, playing out like bite-sized vignettes from Indiana's most memorable scenes. Much is added, of course, to expand the gameplay, and this makes for a really fantastic side-scroller on the Super Nintendo. The 16-bit delivered here is top tier, with graphics and sound being a standout. Indiana feels right at home in an action-driven platformer. Indy's arsenal translates over well, with your trademark whip offering a nice range of attack, and can be used to cross calamitous chasms or reach higher areas. It can be your main item for combat, of course, but Indy isn't afraid to throw a grenade, knuckle sandwich, or pump somebody full of hot lead in the interest of archaeological preservation. Additionally, a roll maneuver can be utilized for avoiding obstacles, inflicting damage, or even maneuvering certain items. It's a really cool addition not seen in many side-scrollers, which can feel a little wild to use at first, but is adequately Indy. Levels look vibrant with some incredible attention to detail, such as the way these leaves scatter under Indy's feet as you pass by. Sound design impresses as well, with some pretty great voice clips for the SNES.
Let's go.
And very suitable stage music. This game may also feature the single greatest game over continue screen of its entire generation.
I've lost it.
Packed to the brim with adventure to explore, this really is the best way to experience indie in 16 bits.
What's this? An idol. Time to go to work.
Next up in 1999, LucasArts and Hal Barwood would return, this time taking a leap into the burgeoning world of 3D graphics with Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine for PC. A port developed by Factor 5 would arrive a year later to the Nintendo 64, and both versions offer a great way to experience Indiana in the third dimension. Building on Barwood's previous work, Infernal Machine takes Indy on another brand new adventure with returning characters also making the jump to 3D, delivering a nice through line in LucasArts' expanding Jones universe. Doug Lee would also return as the voice of Indy, making this feel like a proper follow-up to Fate of Atlantis. Developed initially for PC, Indy's first foray into 3D adventure feels more akin to something like early Prince of Persia than, say, Ocarina of Time, requiring a more methodical approach from players with deliberate input being key. This method of control can feel a little rigid when starting out, but it's easy enough to get the hang of and can be very rewarding once you do. There's a certain satisfying rhythm to exploration and execution, with gameplay centering on traversal and utilization of Indy's inventory. All of Henry's hallmarks are here, with some thoughtful inclusions as well, the lighter being one of my favorites, especially handy in darkened areas, or just to show off impressive illumination in both versions of the game. Additionally, in your adventure bag you'll find anti-venom antidotes that counter the effects of creepy crawlers, and patch kits that keep inflatables afloat when doing a little whitewater rafting. It's a really nice mix of action and RPG in that way, and that's what's great about Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. It makes me feel like Indiana Jones doing Indiana Jones things. Things are thoughtful when they need to be, and chaotic when the situation goes sideways. Audio design is interesting as you'll mostly be hearing ambient sounds, which also makes music and dialogue cues pop all the more when setting off certain events.
Now what?
Colors are rich on PC, and the art design in general straddles the line between cel and stop-motion animation at times. It makes for a beautiful midpoint between LucasArts' adventure classics leading into their later 3D works. Much like the arcs and idols of his most memorable outings, this early 3D entry is absolutely worth seeking out today.
According to the map, that stone head marks the secret entrance into the Lost City.
In the early 2000s, action games were ever evolving. As the sixth generation of consoles offered higher levels of fidelity and fluidity, the gap between software and cinema began to grow smaller. Developers The Collective partnered with publisher LucasArts, looking to bring a legendary adventurer into the modern age. Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb would release for PlayStation 2, the original Xbox, and home computers in 2003, honing in on the action hero aspects of the part-time schoolteacher. Aspiring to be the ultimate indie experience for more modern fans, Emperor's Tomb features a strong focus on combat and cinematic presentation.
There he is!
Character motion and animation is smoother than ever before, with a nice sense of tactile agility as you move throughout the world. Inventory is also key, with items being easily selected in-game or by pressing an action button when icons appear on screen. This is a nice addition as it lets you quickly swap to the required item needed in different scenarios, which can be really handy when swapping so frequently. Level design is done really well, with linear paths forward being clear, open enough to allow for some exploration. And all the locales on offer are honestly everything you'd want from an Indiana adventure. As mentioned, with combat taking a front row seat this time around, fights are always a lot of fun and feel very on brand with Indiana's particular style of frenzied fisticuffs. And that's something they've captured really well throughout, as Indy is a man reliably quick to action but always flying by the seat of his pants.
This ought to even up the odds.
From his posture to punches, this is something the developers clearly put a lot of love into and really nailed down. Sound and music are also great, with lighter accompaniments providing general background flair. While more bombastic orchestral tracks flavor action-heavy situations. Taking over for Doug Lee as the voice of Indy this time around is David Esch, who also does a phenomenal job at capturing the essence of our favorite archaeologist.
A chance to become the first man in the Emperor's tomb? When do we leave?
A lot of love clearly went into delivering the full-fledged Indiana Jones experience with Emperor's Tomb. This game is all wits, whips, and fists, delivering what could be the most quintessential Indy experience for the more modern fan.
There he is.
Last up, in 2009, LucasArts would partner with developers Artificial Mind and Movement to give us one last mainline entry in their spanning saga with Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings. Released for Nintendo Wii and PS2, with unique versions on the DS and the PSP. It's the Wii version we'll be looking at today, going all in on motion control to check out a different kind of Indy experience. Starting out, you're greeted with a nice menu screen which sets the stage well. Art design is a kind of mix and evolution of the previous two games, with Indy being more animated than ever before, and facial expressions being much more lively. In regards to gameplay being an action-focused follow-up to Emperor's Tomb, Staff of Kings shares similarities when it comes to basic traversal and overall mechanics. However, in looking to place the whip more than ever in the player's hands, segments play out more like smaller set pieces, which works in favor of the Wiimote and nunchuck combination, as motion control is used often, so the bite-sized gameplay beats don't burn you out on waggle. And this works well as situations are changing up often enough, so each new area feels fresh. You will of course be snapping your Wiimote to control your trademark bullwhip, which feels fun and works pretty much just as you'd imagine. The developers did get creative here though, and you'll be using key motions to do lots of clever things. My favorite early on is when you come across an unlit torch, and sweep your Wiimote to simulate sparking a flint to get a fire going. Combat being a large focus once again means punches and attacks will be performed using the Wiimote with jabs, hooks, and uppercuts, all having their own stabbing, swinging, or rising motion. Environments are also more interactive than before, letting you pull awnings down on enemies, unleash traps, or smash heads into whatever breakable object occupies your closest vicinity. Keeping your eye out for icons will let you know what you can and can't interact with, but chances are if it looks like you can pick it up or shove a head into it, you can.
You're dead!
This makes for a lot of fun as you play Maestro, trying to direct the perfect Indiana fight sequence. Outside of throwing fists, you'll also be using the Wiimote upright like a flight stick as you navigate canyons and dogfight enemy planes. Indy's sidearm also gets special attention with plenty of shooting segments seeing you maneuver behind cover, point, shoot, and blast away. These can be really enjoyable as well, with solutions to move forward not always being immediately obvious, and feel like a fun play on classic point-and-click Indy. Speaking of which, LucasArts offered a very cool addition to players exclusively on the Wii, with the fate of Atlantis being included as an unlockable, which would be worth the price of admission alone when picking platforms. Staff of Kings blends all of LucasArts' previous work into a fun, more arcade-like Indiana Jones, with gameplay that tries its hand at translating the classic Indiana thrill ride more directly to the player. It's a good time for fans and offers a fresh take if you're willing to answer the call to action. This title would bookend the Indiana 3D saga, but with a character as beloved as Indy, who knows what the future holds. New adventures may still yet lie over the next horizon. But if these treasures truly are the last of their kind, that's okay, because they stand tall and are easily unearthed today.
Здравствуйте, товарищ. Open the door. I'm here to deliver supplies, you know, dig stuff. Whatever you need, I've got it.